VLSos here. This is a video lesson on proportion. A proportion is something that is very simple, but we use it in so many ways that we often lose sight on what a proportion quite simply is. A proportion is a comparison of fractions that are equal. Proportion is simply what we call fractions that are equal to each other. For example, 1/2 is equal to 4/8. This is an equation. It's a comparison of two sides, or two quantities that are equal in measure, and what we're comparing are fractions. So we could be reminded that proportions are also equations. And because proportions are equations, we can use the algebraic process to solve for something in a proportion that might be unknown. For example, if we start with the proportion 4 divided by 8 is equal to x over 2, we have fractions that are equal. This is an equation, but there's one part of this equation that we don't know, the value of this variable x. But because this is an equation, we can solve this proportion for x. To do that, we want to get x by itself. X is being divided by 2. So to undo the division by 2, we do the inverse of dividing by 2, we multiply both sides by 2. X divided by 2 and then multiplied by 2 cancel out, leaving the x. And on the other side, 4/8 times 2 will be 8/8. And 8 over 8 is equal to 1. We solve the equation for x. We know that x must be equal to 1. And of course, this proportion, now that we have the value of x, is the same as the first example. Let's do another example. We could start with the proportion 4 over 10 is equal to 7 over z. It's an equation, two fractions equal to one another. We have an unknown z. Let's solve for z. There's a couple of first steps to take. I see that z, the variable, is in the denominator. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by z so that division by z and multiplication by z cancel out, leaving 7 on the right. And on the left, I have z times 4/10. I could think of this as a z over 1 and multiply the fractions, z over 1 times 4 over 10, and I will get 4z over 10. I still have the unknown z, but it's no longer in the denominator. It's a little bit easier to deal with. In the next step of getting z by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10 to undo this division by 10. When I do, it cancels out, leaving 4z, and on the other side, 7 times 10 is 70. Last step to get z by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and I will get z is equal to 70 quarters. We can reduce Or, because it'll become a mixed number, that fraction is a fine answer.